The story begins in the year 2022, where Haru is standing on the rooftop of a tech company called Dragon Bank, while inside, the CEO, Carrie, is conducting interviews. Out of 5,000 applicants, only 80 interviews remain. Gaku, a nervous candidate, rehearses for his interview in the restroom before heading to the interview hall. Due to his anxiety, he slips and falls while trying to sit on the chair. Throughout the interview, he answers the questions timidly. Next, Haru arrives for his interview, brimming with confidence, and answers every question boldly, leaving Carrie quite impressed. Later, Gaku buys food from a vending machine, and a note is blown away by the wind, which Haru catches. They recognize each other and decide to eat together. Through their conversation, it is revealed that Haru considers himself lucky and has successfully cleared many interviews, while Gaku, despite being a computer expert, has not been able to clear even one. The scene then shifts to 2016, where one night, some thugs are bullying Gaku and stealing his belongings. Haru, Gaku's classmate, enters like a hero and beats them up. However, when he notices a CCTV camera, he flees the scene, telling Gaku that he will definitely get expelled now. Feeling bad for Haru, Gaku hacks into the CCTV system using his laptop and deletes the footage from that night, which impresses Haru. He believes that Gaku will achieve something great in the future, though in the present, Gaku's situation is not good, as he doesn't even have a job. The next day, Gaku is cleaning the windows of the Dragon Bank building to earn some money. Inside, the selected candidates are undergoing training. Haru approaches Gaku and says that he quit the job after being selected because a company that doesn't hire a genius like him but hires someone like Haru wouldn't last long. He suggests that they create their own company, Trillion Game, to eventually buy out Dragon Bank, envisioning a future where they will earn trillions and live a luxurious life with grand homes, servants, and cars. Although Gaku is confused by Haru's grand plans, he follows along. Fast forward to the future, and Trillion Game has grown significantly. They are about to partner with AI companies in the US and Saudi Arabia, drawing massive media attention. Reporters eagerly want to interview Gaku, but also ask questions about Haru, which Gaku avoids, implying that Haru is no longer part of Trillion Game, even though it was originally his idea. What happened between them will be revealed later. Gaku's assistant shows him a new office, which is grand and beautiful, but Gaku is used to his old, smaller office. When the assistant tries to throw away his old chair, he stops her because it holds many cherished memories for him. The scene then shifts to the year 2023, where Haru buys a new chair for Gaku for $28,500, which was all the money they had saved to start the company. Gaku is shocked and questions how they will manage the rest of the startup costs, but Haru assures him not to worry, saying they will make trillions of dollars and can buy anything in the world. However, they need funds to start the company, so Haru takes Gaku to an investor. Although he has no experience, Haru impresses the investor with a dummy portfolio, securing a promise of $1 million in funding. But Haru demands $50 million, which the investor refuses. Despite this setback, Haru remains determined and continues to approach many investors, lying confidently throughout the process. Gaku becomes disheartened by the constant rejections, but Haru remains unfazed, certain that they will reach their goal one way or another. In the next scene, Haru meets with Karika from Dragon Bank to ask for funding. Karika says that companies started by friends often don't last long. Haru responds confidently, saying that their friendship is strong and unbreakable. He adds, "And as for trust, I can pocket all the balls in one shot, even blindfolded. But if I succeed, you have to fund us." Karika finds this impossible, but agrees. Despite being blindfolded, Haru successfully pockets all the balls in one shot, leaving everyone astonished. Karika immediately orders a bag filled with $100 million, which makes both Haru and Gaku incredibly happy. However, there's a catch. Karika demands 51% ownership of their company in exchange for the funding. Haru refuses, as this would give her full control over the company. They leave without accepting her offer. After they leave, Karika's assistant checks the blindfold Haru used and discovers it's see-through, meaning Haru had cheated. Karika already knew this. She had figured out what Haru was like during the interview. She wants to control him to use his skills for her own purposes. Meanwhile, Haru goes to a bar and spreads the word that Dragon Bank is offering them $100 million in funding, hoping this news will attract better deals from other investors. A woman overhears and tells them about an event called Cathin, organized by Dragon Bank. In this event, the world's best hackers compete to hack a fake server and collect points. The winner would get significant recognition in the tech industry. Upon hearing this, Haru quickly registers Gaku for the competition. Instead of registering under their team's name, Haru writes, "Karika offered us $100 million. We're open to other investors too." Karika's assistant notices this and realizes it's another one of Haru's tricks. He also knows that thousands of hackers will compete online, and only 12 teams will be selected for the offline event, making Gaku's chances of qualifying very slim. On the day of the qualifying round, Gaku waits for Haru at his room and calls him, saying, "The game is about to start. Where are you?" Haru responds that he's parting and tells Gaku to compete alone. Gaku, now nervous, logs in. The competition lasts 12 hours, involving various types of tests. Gaku uses all his knowledge to solve the questions and ranks in the top half, but he feels it's impossible to reach the top 12, as all the other teams have for members while he's alone. Late at night, Haru arrives with a laptop and almost 100 computer geeks on video call who are now going to help Gaku. It turns out, Haru sold his expensive watch to arrange a meetup with these computer enthusiasts, convincing them to support Gaku. By morning, they solve the questions and secure a spot in the top 12. The scene shifts to the finals of the Security Championship. Gaku notices Haru hasn't arrived yet. Just before the game starts, Haru makes a dramatic entrance in a bizarre outfit and even brings a strange stick to pray with. He tells Karika, "If we lose today, we'll be your slaves forever, but if we win, you'll be ours." Karika replies, "I can't promise forever, but I'll definitely spend one night with you," surprising even her assistant. Haru then starts shaking his stick as part of his prayer, causing the other participants' Wi-Fi to disconnect because the stick had aluminum foil on it, blocking their signals. Gaku calmly connects and starts hacking the other participants to collect points. However, the organizers soon catch on to what Haru is doing and stop him. This draws everyone's attention to their team, and all the participants start attacking Gaku's system, making him lose points rapidly. Just as Gaku is about to give up, Haru encourages him and reveals that he had hidden a router. When they connected to the Wi-Fi, instead of linking to the official network, they connected to our router. Now, you have their passwords, which means you can easily attack their castle and collect points. Following Haru's instructions, Gaku wins the game effortlessly. However, their trickery is discovered, leading to their disqualification from the game. But Kirika is quite pleased, as it shows that they're willing to go to any lengths to start their company. Surprisingly, there's someone even happier than Kirika, Mr. Kidoi, an investor who is now ready to fund Gaku and Haru. He takes them to a bar where several models are present, including the famous Iori, who has shot numerous ads. Haru introduces Gaku as a great engineer, which piques the models' interest. They find him cute, but then Haru mentions that Gaku is the manager, meaning he has slept with thousands of girls. Gaku is left stunned, as he is a decent guy and hasn't even had a girlfriend. Later, Mr. Kidoi offers 30 million in exchange for a 20% share, but they finally agree on 15%. However, Mr. Kidoi has a condition. He wants either Gaku or Haru to seduce one of the models, as he wants to see if they are sly enough to handle business, which is no child's play. Haru accepts this challenge and ends up sleeping with Shiori, fulfilling the condition. The next day, Mr. Kidoi gives them 30 million. Haru then boasts about making a 3 million profit in the first month itself. Mr. Kidoi warns him that if he doesn't keep his promise, he'll make them his slaves. Haru accepts the challenge and then takes a bath in a tub filled with money in their hotel room, taking photos and making videos with Gaku. They start interviewing people to hire for their company, but don't know the right questions to ask. So, they use a book to check people's abilities. They end up selecting a girl named Ren because she answers correctly and is also smart. The next day, she comes to work at Gaku's apartment, but they haven't decided what their company will do yet. Rin suggests several business ideas from books, and they decide to create an AI-based online store that suggests gifts to people using AI. The problem is that building an AI isn't easy. It requires a lot of money and people. So, they decide to create a fake AI, with Rin posing as the AI, suggesting gifts to people. Rin works diligently, and their company starts growing, but they aren't making the profit they promised. The three of them discuss the issue and realize that most people prefer giving flowers as gifts, so they decide to focus on this. Rin, who previously worked at a flower shop, has a lot of knowledge in this field and starts suggesting the perfect flowers for the right occasion. Later, Mr. Kidoin introduces them to Ms. Suzuki, the owner of a flowering company who also invests in the Trillion Game Company. But in exchange, she wants them to make 20 million in revenue by the next month. They try to break into the nightclub scene, where wealthy ladies have rental boyfriends called hosts. A host can have multiple clients, and these ladies love gifting their hosts expensive flowers. But the problem is that a guy named Hiroto is the #1 host there, and if they steal his customers, they'll be thrown out of the job. Despite this, Haru doesn't give up. Using his smooth talk and magic tricks, he manages to bring two women into the club and convinces the ladies there to order flowers using their app. However, one woman treats Gaku poorly because she is Hiroto's customer. Hiroto's men take Gaku to an alley and beat him up. Haru comes to rescue Gaku, fights Hiroto's men, and then tells Hiroto, "You may be proud of being the #1 host, but soon, I'll become the top host and take your position." This hurts Hiroto's ego deeply. There's a guy who challenges Haru, saying, "If you become the #1 host, I'll quit this job. But if you fail, you'll both be kicked out." Meanwhile, Kiriki gets involved. Haru gathers feedback from his clients and keeps upgrading his app. Initially, it only allowed flower bookings for birthdays, but now it can handle multiple bookings for different occasions, and their AI suggests different types of flowers for each event. Plus, there's a 20% discount, which makes clients place several orders, but they're only ordering once. They aren't getting repeat customers. Most people prefer buying flowers in person to see them properly. So, Gaku adds a 360 view feature to the app so customers can thoroughly check the flowers before buying. A month passes, and the night comes when they have to decide who the #1 host is, Hiroto or Haru. Both are sitting at different tables with their teams, ordering expensive champagne for their clients. When there are just 10 minutes left on the clock, Kiriki shows up and calls for the club's #1 host. Both Haru and Hiroto come forward. Kiriki then says she will choose the one who offers her the most suitable drink. Hiroto offers the club's best brandy, while Haru offers a simple canned beer. Both tell Kiriki to choose their recommended drink. Everyone thought she'd go for the expensive brandy, but she chooses Haru's canned beer, making him the winner. The twist was that Haru had paid 5 million yen for that simple can, which made him the new #1 host. This meant that all of Hiroto's clients would now go to Haru. The next day, Hiroto prepares to leave the club, but Haru convinces him to work together. A week later, they reach 20 million in sales, making Haru and Rin very happy, while Gaku gets emotional and starts crying. Moving on, Mr. Kedoin tells Kiriki, "You wanted to buy Shizu's business, right? If you hadn't helped Haru become the #1 host, Shizu would have had no choice but to sell her company to you. But you made her job easier." Kiriki replies, "They say the one who wins after losing is the real champ. I have some big plans for Haru and Gaku, which I'll reveal when the time comes." A month later, they don't miss a single opportunity to advertise their business. They're on news channels, billboards, everywhere. But then we find out it wasn't Kiriki who did all this, it was her dad. Kiriki is actually against stealing someone's business model. Meanwhile, Haru and his team are pretty down about everything, but Haru quickly comes up with a solution. He plans to use their profits to buy a small gaming company and its creator. In search of this, he meets Sakura and her team, who are working in terrible conditions. Haru promises them a new office and a good work environment. The very next day, he invites them to his new office, which is amazing and costs 3 million yen a month, with Haru having already deposited a 20 million yen security amount. This shocks Gaku, and Rin calculates that they only have enough money left to operate for 6 months. Sakura says it will take 2 years to create a proper game, costing around 1 billion yen. Haru then shows them a game called Survival Island, which had once been very popular, but was now discontinued. He suggests recreating it with a modern touch, as it would take less time and money. A few days later, Haru throws an announcement party for his mobile game development, inviting many investors, including Suzuki and Mr. Kedoin. Sakura wants to share his game idea in front of everyone, but he forgets his speech. So, he takes out a paper and reads his idea to the audience. Meanwhile, Haru still hasn't arrived at the party with the developers, so Gaku asks Sakura to stretch his speech. However, Sakura starts repeating his speech, and many investors begin to leave. Just then, Haru makes a grand entrance like a hero. he brings the ex-developer of Dragon Bank Gaming Company, Remote, in front of everyone. Remote explains how he plans to create the best game in the universe in collaboration with Trillion Game Company. He encourages investors to invest in exchange for a share of the revenue. The next day, Ren calculates and reveals that they managed to raise 2 billion yen from the previous day's event, which makes Haru's entire team jump with joy. However, in private, Haru tells Gaku that Hond is an actor he hired to pretend to be a developer. The Dragon Gaming Company had hidden their developers from the world to prevent anyone from luring them away with money. They only uploaded an AI-generated picture and named it Horimoto. Haru took advantage of this. He then reveals to Gaku that his real motive isn't to develop a game, but to take control of the media, for which he needed money. Now, with the investment, they have the funds. He plans to pay Sakura and his team some money to keep them quiet and have them develop a small game while using the rest of the funds to take over the media. Without media support, if they start a company, a bigger company would either acquire them or steal their idea to start their own business. Gaku is shocked and feels bad for Sakura and his team. On the other hand, Kiriki's father also understands Haru's plan. If he exposes Haru, the media will ask them about the real creator, and they don't want to reveal that. Kiriki, however, is impressed by Haru's strategy. Haru later goes to Mr. Kedden and explains his entire plan. The next day, Rin rushes to the office and tells Gaku in private that 2 billion yen is missing from their account, and she suspects Haru is behind it. She's furious and wants to confront Haru. Gaku stops her and admits that it's his fault for not stopping Haru. He didn't want any conflict in their team and promises that their game will still be made. Rin and Gaku then go and tell Sakura's team the whole truth. The team, who were dreaming of making a game with Horimoto, are shattered. Gaku explains that he has a classmate working in Dragon Company and plans to meet him to find out more about their development team. But Gaku is lying. The truth is, he plans to hack Dragon Bank's server to get information about their development team. That night, after everyone leaves, Gaku begins his hacking. He not only finds the development team's files, but also their future plans. For a moment, Gaku's conscience wavers, and he thinks about downloading all the files and launching them under their own name. But then he realizes how many years the development team must have spent working on it, and he decides not to steal someone else's work. The next day, Kiriki's team informs her that their server was hacked. The hacker left a note explaining where the vulnerabilities in their server were and advised them to fix them quickly. Kiriki suspects it was Gaku because, during his interview, he talked a lot about hacking. She immediately calls Gaku and asks him out on a date the next day, which surprises him. It's the first time someone has asked him out on a date, so he doesn't refuse. The next day, Kiriki takes him to an adventure park where she enjoys herself with Gaku. At night, they sit on the giant wheel, and Kiriki asks him who hacked their server and why they didn't steal any data. She asks him why the hacker might have done it. Gaku gets nervous and wonders what Haru would have said in his place. Then he tells her, "I don't know what you're talking about." But when Kiriki presses him, he says, "Maybe the hacker wanted to find out about your gaming development team or some other information that isn't public." As the date ends, Kiriki reveals to Gaku about Hebijima, the head of her development team, which makes Gaku overjoyed. In the next scene, Gaku, Rin, and Haru meet Hebijima and convince him to help them with the game. Hebijima then visits the Trillion Game office, meets the rest of the team, and discusses the game idea with them. They all start working on creating a Bubble Buster game. After some time, the game is finally completed. Haru's goal was for 1 million people to download and start playing the game quickly. They decided to launch their game on the 6th, but on the same day, Dragon Company announces the release of their new Bubble game, backed by extensive advertising. This causes Sakura to feel stressed. Meanwhile, Hebijima mentions that he has completed his task of helping with the game, and that he now has an assignment to develop a new game for Dragon Gaming Company. Sakura tries to persuade Hebijima to stay, but he mentions his salary at Dragon Bank Company is 180 million yen, which Gaku can't afford. Gaku then offers him 3% of the profits, which would amount to 150 million if their Bubble Endgame earns 5 billion in profit. However, Hebijima remembers the threats from Kiriki's dad, who had warned him to leave Trillion Game as soon as possible, or else he would ruin both Hebijima and Trillion Game. As a result, Hebijima rejects Haru's offer and heads to the Dragon Gaming launch event, where for the first time, Dragon Gaming credits him as their developer. Yet, Hebijima recalls his time at Trillion Game and suddenly announces in front of everyone that he's leaving Dragon Gaming to join Trillion Game. This results in a lot of publicity for Trillion Game. Meanwhile, Haru buys a talent media agency and uses popular models to promote Bubble Gaming, leading to 1 million downloads within just 10 days of release. The game also ranks among the top 3 games on the App Store, and soon becomes the #1 game. This makes Goku and his team ecstatic, and they celebrate with a big party. During this celebration, Haru reveals that they made a profit of 5 billion from the game, which means they are now all millionaires. But Haru hasn't forgotten his dream of earning 1 trillion yen. He wants to start an online channel called Trillion TV. The two then present their idea to Mr. Kedo, who tells them they need to learn how to create and distribute shows first, as it's not something that happens overnight and will take time. However, Haru had already planned for this. He buys a weather forecasting channel to learn video distribution and then collaborates with his media agency models to create new shows. Soon, Haru even secures a sponsorship from a mobile phone company. But later, they find out that Dragon Bank has acquired a foreign firm named Derek's, so Haru decides to only broadcast news on his channel to avoid a conflict with Dragon Bank. For this, Goku develops an AI-based video analyzer that broadcasts news based on its identification of real and fake news. They also send reporters outside the restaurant for on-site reporting, and they manage to get exclusive footage from someone inside the restaurant, footage that no other news channel had. This brings their news channel significant viewership and helps the police handle the situation more effectively, as they easily enter the restaurant and capture the culprit. To celebrate, Haru throws a party for his team. Moving forward, he starts creating an anime with his team. In this scenario, he has to face the Dragon Company. Meanwhile, Kiriki's father, Mr. Kido, wants to collaborate with them and suggests that Mr. Kido should part ways with Haru. In return, he promises to offer all his advertising to Mr. Kido, which Mr. Kido could use for his talent media house's models. Mr. Kido informs Haru of this offer, to which Haru replies that one should do what seems right for their talent media house and never let go of good offers. Despite this, Mr. Kido declines Kiriki's father's offer. Later, Dragon Bank's Goku invites Haru and Mr. Kidong to his office to offer friendship. He wants to buy all the stocks of the Trillion game, and he's ready to offer 70 billion and even his daughter in marriage to Kiriki, making Haru his son-in-law. Goku sees in Haru the same passion he once had. Goku is surprised, but he is even more shocked when Haru reveals he is already married and cannot accept the offer. This upsets Kiriki's father, but later Goku finds out that Haru's claim of being married was a lie, meant to avoid embarrassing Kiriki if he declined the marriage proposal. The next day, after a good discussion with Goku and Mr. Kidong, Haru meets Kiriki's father and rejects his offer. He sarcastically comments that buying their company and having them buy his company seems like a joke. Kiriki's father laughs loudly, unaware that Haru intends to prove him wrong. Haru sets up a cashless bank to expand his company, allowing online money transfers. Despite facing many challenges, he and his team refuse to give up. Haru wants to take public railway Saisai under his wing, and Kiriki's father learns of this. He invites Haru for lunch and informs him that they have already partnered with Saisai, and this is just the beginning. On the other hand, Goku's team discovers that their Steam service has crashed due to a virus, which also took down the gaming server. Goku finds that their server was hacked, and data from the game division, television division, and business division, including all Trillion game users' addresses and account numbers, was stolen. Goku immediately calls Haru to inform him of the data leak. Kiriki's father tells Haru that by rejecting their 70 billion offer, Haru thought he could build an even bigger company. But now, people will question his creditability. He says if Haru falls to his knees and asks for help, he can still buy his company. This infuriates Haru, but he decides to stay silent. The next day, as the president of the Ren Company, Haru holds a press conference to apologize to users for the data leak. He takes responsibility for the mistake and resigns from the position of president of the Trillion Game Company. In the next scene, Haru kneels and asks Kiriki's father for help and inquires if the option to marry his daughter is still available. Goku takes Haru aside and questions his plan. Haru explains that he doesn't have a plan. He needs to make trillion yens. If he marries Kiriki, he will learn the correct tactics from her father and easily earn trillion yens. Goku feels bad, as he and Haru would receive 30 billion, but the efforts of their employees would go to waste. Goku is upset with Haru for only thinking about himself and leaves. The next day, Haru becomes the director of the Dragon Company and arrives at the Trillion Game Company's office. His team can't believe he managed to do this. With Mr. Kidong selling his shares, the Trillion Company is now part of Dragon Company. After the takeover, a Dragon Company employee becomes the president of the Trillion Game. He is quite harsh, assigning them the task of finding bugs in the game instead of doing creative work. Goku is assigned to the general department and starts crying as he reminisces about his time with Haru. At night, Haru visits Goku and reveals that, in addition to earning trillion yens, he had another dream: to ruin the Dragon Company. Kiriki's father has been involved in numerous scams, and Haru wants to expose him. However, he needs Goku's help to steal all the data from the CEO's computer. Learning the truth, Goku agrees to help. He steals the data and posts it online, exposing Kiriki's father's blackmailing, land trafficking, and bribery of high-ranking officials. However, the video is quickly blocked after just one news report. Following this, a board meeting is called, and both Goku and Haru are invited. When Goku had accessed the CEO's office to steal data, he had deleted the CCTV footage. However, there was another hidden CCTV camera that caught him in the act. What they didn't know was that Haru had intimidated the stockholders by showing them the CEO's dark secrets, leading them to sell their shares. Now, Haru owns 16% of Dragon Company's stock and manages to win over the remaining board members. Additionally, he had Goku hack the CEO's webcam, and when the exposure occurred, Haru instructed a cabinet minister to delete all the videos and use the situation to negotiate further, providing Goku with solid evidence. Despite this, Haru still needed 6% more shares to complete the 51% required to become the new CEO. Haru asks Kiriki to give him her 6% shares. Kiriki's father believes she won't agree, but she does, knowing that if she doesn't comply, Haru will publicly expose her father, which would ruin Dragon Bank. To save her company, Kiriki agrees. In a twist, Haru appoints Goku as the new CEO of Dragon Company. Haru and Goku then visit Rin, who is working at a flower shop, and inform her of everything before bringing her back to the company. In the next scene, Goku and Haru are on the top floor of Dragon Bank, reminiscing about how working there had once been their dream, and now they had become the CEOs. A few days later, Trillion Game Company acquires its parent company, Dragon Bank. Goku becomes the CEO of Trillion Game Company, and Kiriki is appointed as the president of Dragon Bank. Mizuki's flower business is purchased, and Rin is made its president. Haru, however, disappears without a trace. He reappears 2 years later, while Goku is buying food from a vending machine. When a note is blown away by the wind, Haru catches it and takes Goku to his house in his Lamborghini. Their next plan is to enter the secret business sector, and with this, the story ends. Now we will meet in the next videos. Till then, take care and watch another OOL videos.